welcome to my channel. I am your host, Dancing Johari, and as you can see, I've been busy in my doll studio. Sorry this project took so long, guys. I actually did more than one, but this is just the first one that you're going to see today. We've got a lot to cover today, so I hope you enjoy it all. To the workstation! Welcome to my project box. Inside lies a doll waiting, hoping for customization. Okay, in this case it's two dolls, but we're only doing one today. As you can see, we have a G3 Cleopatra and a G3 Dracula. So first, let's take them down to their bare essentials. I have a plan for this, and this is actually a gift for a friend of mine. So we're going to use this doll body and this doll's head. So we're going to do a head swap. That means we have to behead two dolls today. First, let's start with the head that we're going to use. Let's take off all of her hair. For this, I went ahead and used my buzzer just because it was quicker, neater, easier than the scissors, honestly. It really was. I was surprised at how much quicker this all went. Normally, I just use a sharp pair of scissors, but the shorter you get the plugs, the easier it is to pull them out. Who knew, right? And yes, this is a real hair buzzer meant for human hair. I got this from Target. I think it was like $30 quite some time ago. I used to buzz my son's hair during COVID. Anyway, so next we're going to take some hot boiling water and we're going to take off some heads. First, Dracula. We need her body because the body type I'm going for is short and curvy and not quite as long and lean as Cleopatra. But the Cleopatra head has the mold that I want, so thus two heads taken off. So this is what we're starting with. First, let's take off the factory paint. Well, for her face anyway. Cleopatra has such a nice sculpt on this new generation. And they all have really good sculpts. I'm really impressed with this. I haven't done very many G3s because I have so many G1s I need to finish customizing. Okay, that's the factory paint removed. Next, let's pull out all those hair plugs. For this, I used the hemostat pliers that I got from Dollplanet when I got my rerouting kit. These are so awesome. They pull out the hair so much easier. And since my hand gets really tired very quickly these days, it has nothing to do with muscles. I'm just getting older and my body says I start to hurt. It just starts to hurt more very quickly. So as a result, the easier way to do this, the better. Okay, that's all the plugs gone. Now let's take off the paint on the top of her head because this is not the color we're going to give her. We're going to give her two colors today. So first things first, I got out my acrylic paint after she was all dry. And I painted down the center of the hairline with the lighter color first. We're going to do half green and half black. I know, it sounds very Cruella de Vil-ish in some ways, except it's not white and black, it's green and black. Or almost like a Harley Quinn. Again, green and black instead of like blonde with red and blue. But still fun, right? The person I'm making this for, I hope she really likes this. This is meant to be her mini-me. I just did it for fun, just because I really adore this person, and while we've never gotten together to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in person yet, I'm hoping to someday. We've been friends for years, by the way, long distance. After the acrylic paint dried, I went ahead and took some Galaxy glue and coated all of the paint with a good coat of glue. This will help keep this from peeling off and yet still maintain flexibility in the vinyl. After the glue was dry, it's time to reroute. First things first, I'm going to use the black on the first half, and then later on I went in with the green. After what felt like an eternity of rooting, I finally got it done. This is her with her nice straight hairline, and we're going to go ahead and just glue those plugs into place. If you want to know what colors I used, I will include them in the link below. They are both from Dollplanet. Afterwards, I was customizing 2 dolls, so I went ahead and broke out my epoxy sculpt. We need a curvier bust, or a bigger bust rather, for this person, for their admitting. So I went ahead and brought out my epoxy sculpt and I gave her a boob job. And I gave her as good a boob job as I could. And actually, I think this is one of the best ones I've done yet. When I used to do them, I used to kind of groan afterwards. I looked at the shape, but I think I'm getting better. What do you think? Those have to set aside to cure for 5 hours because it's epoxy sculpt. It takes time. So the next day, after they were fully cured, I went ahead and sanded them a little off camera, and then I coated them in a coat of paint to match the body for now. Once that's all nice and dry, I went ahead and put the head back on off camera, and then I masked off her hairline because we've got to match a pink and the tan skin tone, and we're going to give them a realistic skin tone, so this is going to require some work before we can get to her face up. First things first, I went ahead and took a really light skin tone color and went over the epoxy sculpt, which was still showing a little bit gray through the pink. And then I also went over the tan areas of her face that are showing. Reason being, we wanted to bring everything to match, so these need to be a little bit lighter than they currently are, especially that tan. That tan is really intense, and it's going to show through if I just go in with a normal skin tone straight away. So we're going to lighten things up a little. After that was all dry, I took a makeup sponge and the skin color I wanted to use for everything, and I went ahead and after buffing the body and priming it with Superclear, I went ahead and just went in. So I did Superclear and buffing first. Buffing, then Superclear, give it a tooth. Then came this. After it was all nice and dry, I think it took about 2 coats of paint just to make sure it was all nice and smooth. Yeah, I could have used my airbrush, but I don't have this particular skin tone in airbrush thin. They're already pre-prepared paint, so rather than trying to force it, I went ahead and just used my makeup sponge. You get a really good result, and you also get a pretty decent tooth out of it too. So afterwards, before I blushed, I did hit it with another coat of Mr. Superclear. I went ahead and blushed the body and did the first blushing for the head together. Now it's ready to give her a new face. Went ahead and with some white eyeshadow, just to start giving her a highlight above the eye. And I also added a little bit of a dark shadow because I want to make it a bit of a smoky. This kind of helps me plan out the eyes a little bit better. Anyway, so, and of course I always keep a little brush handy in case to brush away excess. Sometimes I blow it away, but I'm trying to be better about using a brush so I'm not lifting it and constantly lowering it and moving it all around. But still keep a kneaded eraser for mistakes nearby. I want her to have a light lipstick, not too light, but the look I'm kind of going for is a semi-50s look. But at the same time, I also want it to be kind of modern. A little bit of a modern twist to it, I guess. Using my watercolor pencils, I began sketching out the eyes. I used a light tan or gold at first because this way if I make a mistake it's a little bit easier to remove, a little less noticeable. I went ahead also and went in with my pink to draw the waterline. I used light green to sketch out the edges of the eyes. And then I went in with the gold for the center. I'm going for a hazel eye color. Not quite sure if I achieved it, but on camera, the eyes will appear kind of brownish, but they're actually have some browns and golds and greens all mixed together. So it's kind of a mixed bag of color in the eye. So I'm trying to achieve that here a little bit. I also have a hard time getting that second eyeliner just right. I finally went and did it off camera because I was so nervous. After another coat of Mr. Superclear, it's time to draw in the eyebrows. When doing eyebrows, it's just best to take your time. I haven't really worked on a lot of different facial expressions yet, so I want to start working on that, I think, with the next, within my future dolls. I want to have more than just, static expressions. I did make a mistake here on my, on one eyebrow, so I went ahead and used a little bit of the paint that I used for her skin tone to kind of correct it and pull it back a little. I also made another little mistake, so I just used it to refine the shape of the eyebrow also. And once that was dry, I went ahead and highlighted underneath the eyebrow with some white. Darkened the nostrils with a little bit of a tan pencil. And then I think I messed something up on the nose, or I wanted to highlight there. One of the two. So I went ahead and went in, and then I blushed over it after it was dry. Tried to be more careful and make sure that it looked more like the way I wanted it to. I went in with a highlight underneath the eyes, in the corner. And then I used a watercolor pencil on the lips to give it a little bit more color. I'm going for not quite a deep red, but I am going for a fun lip color. Let me put it that way. I want it to be reddish, but not too deep a red. I've seen this color of lipstick on pictures of the person that I'm making this for, so I'm trying to make it look like that. Sorry for the skip ahead in progress, but my camera did run out of power at one point and just turned itself off, and unfortunately some of the footage was lost. So here's me just working on that lip color a little bit more. This time I used a wet brush with my watercolor pencil to lift the pigment right off and put it directly on the lips. I also had tried to put more green and details into the eyes. After another bit of Mr. Superclear, I went ahead and added some eyelashes. With a brown pencil, I added a little bit more brown to the eye. I think they still look more greenish gold than anything, but still, they're really pretty, and I'm hoping that the person I'm setting this to really likes it. Next, I went ahead and used some glue. At this point, I'm not going to be using any more Mr. Superclear. I went ahead and gave it another coat. But I want to really make those eyes just really look dramatic, and I want to bring out some of that gold. So I'm going to go ahead and use a gold mica powder to put some more gold above the eye as her eyeshadow. And I'm also going to use dark scarlet in the corners to give it a bit of more mystery and allure, and a little bit more contrast also. So for this, I was using a little bit of glue. You can use any glue you want. I think I use using if you're ever wondering what materials I'm using, They will all be listed in the description box below the video, so check that out if you really want to know. I can't remember the name of it right this second. After that, I added a little bit of gold mica powder just around the pupil, because I'm going to refine those pupils here a bit. Then with black acrylic paint, I went ahead and I darkened the eyeliner and the eyelashes. Trying to be as careful as I can with this brush. I was having trouble finding some of my brushes that I normally use for tiny details. After a few minutes, I just literally put this down, found the right brush so I could finish it properly. And that's the brush I'm using right here. This is a brush meant for nail art that I got off of Amazon. I got a nice set of them. They're not very expensive if you ever want to check them out for yourself. I also use these to draw in the pupil. And that looks a lot better. Next, I carefully drew in the eyelashes. I also put drew in some folds above the eye. And then I add a little bit of contrast with a little bit of acrylic white. I also use the white just a little bit to help refine a couple of the lashes shapes down below, but also to give them some contrast. And I started working on the other side. Finally, I managed to put in the eye shines. Oops, we still need eyelashes on that one side. One moment, please. I put in some highlights above the folds, just a little bit, as small as I can, because I want, as I said, I want to keep that eyeshadow, but yeah, there we go. I added some highlights, and that side should be done. Yay! Once everything was dry, I went in with a coat of gloss varnish over the eyes and over the lips. I really love how her face came out. Now at last, it's time to free her from the hair burrito and do her hair. I want to give her really good curls. So I'm going to try a method I've seen other doll customizers use, which includes straws, bobby pins, and then a bowl of boiling hot water and a bowl of ice water. First, I went ahead and tamed the bangs because I want them to go down straight. So first, once we've tamed the bangs, I went ahead and dipped the rest of the hair into the boiling hot water, then into the ice water, and then back and forth a few times, just to set the style. I put her on a stand on a towel to dry overnight. The next day, I took down, took out the curlers, or the straws and bobby pins, which I'm going to reuse. I have them in a baggie saved. This took a little while, so let's speed ahead. There we go. Afterwards, I gave her a trim to get rid of any ends that were not curled, and just to give her a little trim in general. These curls look really nice and poofy. I went ahead and split them, and then I started working on her outfit. Oh, I also used some hairspray on it, just a little light coating, just to help the curls hold their shape. So I have these awesome shoes from Lady Dynamite Creates, and I went ahead and started a dress made out of satin. So first, I went ahead and painted some designs, and I had also painted the shoes with a base of glossy black acrylic paint. Now I'm going in with other colors to finish off the shoes. Finally, I sewed the bodice, gathered up the skirt to attach the bodice to the skirt, and used my sewing machine to sew that all together. After I got everything pinned together, I went ahead and used my sewing machine. I am loving my new machines. I used to have, I've always loved Brother machines, But I recently got a new brother serger because my old serger just was refusing to serge for me. I don't know what's wrong with it. I can't figure it out. Off camera, I went ahead and painted some glasses, and I made her a tulle petticoat to go underneath. Meet Linny. I hope you enjoyed watching her creation as much as I enjoyed creating her. Sadly, I didn't have a whole lot of time to do a long photo shoot. And yes, off camera I did add piercings. The person that's forward does have piercings. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Sorry it was so long, guys. The next project will be coming out very shortly. Be safe. What will you create today? Bye.